Good morning, good morning, good morning, third grade. So now we are on chapter 8, hang-ups. Okay, Albert and Mick are pretty freaked out. There's the front cover. Who's Albert? Who's Mick? Are pretty freaked out by what they saw. They thought the mattress that Samson had caught with his claws were somebody with a knife. Because remember, they don't know there's a cat in the house. They don't know that they grabbed the cat instead of the pug. They are confused about what happened to the dog, even though they never, ever had the dog to begin with. It's kind of a funny story, yeah? With not knowing where this dog is and that they even had a dog, which they don't know that either. All right, so we're going to continue with chapter 8, hang-ups. Here we go. Remember Samson was in the clothes? Yeah? And Albert is in the living room on the sofa, and Mick is in the empty room where the pug disappeared from. All right? So Samson had just come out of the clothes. Let's see what happens. Samson padded lightly through the silent house. In the front room, he stopped to stare at the couch. He crouched lightly, his fur raised, as he gazed at the covered form on the couch. A series of snores startled him. His thick muscles bunched underneath his heavy coat of fur. A rumble began in his throat. A partially loud snore shattered the quiet. Samson scrambled back against the doorway into the kitchen. He took up a fighting stance and answered the snore with a high, keenly wail of his battle cry. The snort stopped abruptly. Albert sprang to his feet, and the dogs began to bark. "What's that? What's that?" he screeched into the darkness. "Calm down, Albert," Mick yelled over the noise. "I'm coming." Confused by the sounds that came from every direction, Samson backed into the kitchen. His throat vibrated as he launched another warring battle cry. "Get away!" Albert screamed. "I've got a gun!" "No, don't!" Mick yell was cut short by the sound of a gunshot. Samson's claws screeched on the kitchen floor. Loud thumps pounded in his ears. A second later, a floor rattled thud came from the hall. Samson leaped across the kitchen floor and dived into the basket of clothing. He crouched at the bottom, every muscle tense, his ears flattened against his head as he bared his teeth in a soundless snarl. "Don't shoot!" Mick exclaimed. "Don't shoot! Put down the gun! Albert, put it down!" When no noise came from Albert, Mick carefully untangled himself from the ladder in the hallway. He crawled the few feet along the wall to the light switch. He muttered as he crunched over broken bits of plaster. Curiously, he stretched out one hand and scrambled along the shattered plaster until he found the light switch. The switch clicked on, but no light came. Mick groaned and crawled along back down the hallway. He searched on the floor by the ladder until he finally found his flashlight. Then he pulled himself up and switched it on. He stopped in the doorway and stared around the front room. Albert lay face down and sprawled across the floor. His bare feet were tangled in his bedsheet. The floor was littered with bits of broken plaster that had shattered when the bullet hit the wall between the front room and the hall. The gun was nowhere to be seen. Mick sighed deeply. He stooped over and pulled up Albert's head by his hair. Then he found nothing wrong but a bump on the forehead. He let the hair go. Albert's head hit the floor dully. After searching the room, he found the gun. It had hit the floor and slid under the chair near the hallway. Mick picked it up and clicked on the safety. He scowled at Albert. Never, never, never will you ever get your hands on a gun again. He started for the kitchen, picking his way carefully on bare feet. The kitchen was quiet. The back door still locked. The windows were latched. Mick came back and bent over Albert. "Wake up!" he snapped. "Come on, get up!" Albert struggled to his knees, blinking. Mick helped him back into the couch where he sat staring blankly at the room. Mick grunted in disgust. "I can see I'll get no help from you." He shook Albert sharply. "Pull yourself together." When Albert finally focused on Mick's face, Mick said, "I'm going outside to check around the house. You keep watch." Albert nodded, but he didn't move an inch. Mick sighed and unlocked the front door. "Not that I've heard a thing over those yelping hounds," he muttered. "Be quiet in there." Okay, so dogs are all upset about all the noise too. The dogs quieted somewhat, and Mick stepped outside. He left the front door open to let the moonlight in. Then he moved silently along the porch. His heavy frame threw a giant shadow on the wall of the house. At the edge of the porch, he stepped down onto bare ground. He stifled an exclamation as he tripped over tangled roots. Limping, he followed the outside wall to the house near the back. He heard a scurrying sound at the back door. Quickly, he released the safety on his gun. He pointed the flashlight toward the garbage can and aimed the gun. "Come out with your hands up," he yelled. The garbage lid sailed into the air and clattered down the steps. Mick shot quickly, pulling the trigger 3 times before he charged the garbage cans. A big raccoon sprang from behind one can and headed for the thick underbrush behind the house. Unable to stop, Mick dived over the cans and landed in the dirt. The rocking cans tumbled over on him, covering him with coffee grounds and soggy noodles. Inside, Samson panicked at the sound of the clattering. He launched himself out of the laundry basket. On his way through the layers of clothing, his head poked through the neck of one of Albert's white shirts. Albert was still sitting on the couch. When he saw the shifting white form sail through the air, he beat Samson through the door by mere seconds, and he crashed through the underbrush. He shrieked for his partner. Just as frightened, Samson headed in the opposite direction. The first stretch of wild briars ripped the snaggled shirt from his head. Relieved of its hampering folds, the big cat found the road. Tail straight out, hair on end, Samson ran for home. So what do you think Albert thinks it is? Do you think he knows now that it's a cat that had his shirt on? Or do you think he was too scared and his mind played tricks on him? What do you think? Okay, so code word for today, secret password, escape. Escape. All right, I will see you tomorrow. Bye.